Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, helping higher education marketing leaders share knowledge about learning, strategies, and tactics that are relevant today. See what you can learn today by listening to one of our episodes.
Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, hosted by Concept 3D. If you like our content, please follow and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google, wherever you listen to our podcast. Today, I'm really excited to talk about how to be a campus where people actually want to work. And for that, I have a very amazing guest here today with us, Eddie Francis. Eddie is the founder of Edified Ventures and also the host of I Want to Work There podcast. And today we're actually live at AMA Symposium in Chicago. This is 2023, and Eddie actually just hosted and presented on this topic like 2 hours ago, right? And so I'm really excited to have him here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast, Hero.
Amazing. And I do actually ask all my guests this as an icebreaker.
Yeah.
What do you love about higher ed, Eddie?
What I love the most about higher ed, the mascots. I love mascots.
I was not expecting that.
This is part of me. This is part of me that wishes at some point I had been a mascot or I had auditioned to be a mascot when I was in college.
That's fantastic. Do you have a favorite mascot?
Maybe Brutus, Brutus the Buckeye from Ohio State. He might be one.
Okay.
So I used to work at Dillard University in New Orleans, which is a small historically black university, and and just like Duke, the nickname is the Blue Devil. But it's blue spelled BLEU, French, style.
Oh, okay.
The mascot was so funny. I mean, it was this, so since it's a historically black university, he was this black devil, and he had his cape and everything. But you know what? I do know my favorite mascot. My wife is going to love me for this. The Hampton University Pirate. That's my favorite mascot. Yeah.
Pirate.
Yeah, the pirate. You have to see the pirate.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to see the pirate. So another HBCU. So he's a black pirate, and he wanders the sidelines. And all the HBCU mascots, they can dance really well. They can get down. I mean, like they get down. So yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's for Hampton. That's
I wrote that
Hampton
down
is
because
at.
I want to look at this mascot.
Oh yeah, you gotta find.
I'm not great with knowing all 4,000 mascots.
Oh yeah, no,
but
yeah.
The one that really sticks out for me is the Cornhuskers because.
Yes.
What a weird mascot.
Yeah.
Literally a Cornhusker.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, today, Eddie, you hosted an amazing talk track on employer branding in higher ed, right? Can you tell us a little bit about like the crisis going on within higher ed in terms of employer branding and get us started from there?
Yeah, there's research that has been released recently that says that right now the talent crisis has people wanting in large numbers wanting to leave their colleges or universities, or they want to leave higher ed altogether. At the same time, you have a lot of colleges and universities that are trying to figure out what's going on because they are not seeing as many job applicants as they have seen before. On one of the episodes of my podcast, I had Kevin Varner from higheredjobs.com. And one of the things he talked about is they're doing more job postings, but they're not seeing as much applicant traffic as they had seen. So in my situation, the last university where I worked, I posted a job. It was a specialist job a couple of years ago, 200 applicants. I posted the same type of job a couple of years later. I had about 60. And luckily, since I have a background in recruiting, I really knew how to go after the candidate I really wanted. I knew how to pitch the role and how to pitch the university, and I was able to get that candidate. But for folks who don't know necessarily how to recruit effectively, that's a tall order, And so right now, what's happening is that you have people who are not shy about saying, "I'm going to leave higher ed altogether." And you also have folks who are just not applying in the numbers that they had been applying before.
Gotcha. Yeah. And, we just had this whole talk track on this, and we think employer branding is one of the ways that we can help mitigate that or improve the amount of applications coming in.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on some strategic tactics or strategies around combating that?
Yeah, so one of the things I want to make sure people understand is what exactly branding is and how it works, because you have some folks from
Hmm.
outside of the marketing community who are looking at it and they're like, "Oh, that's just a cheap parlor trick, Mwah," and so they, you know, they,
Yeah,
they think that you're doing something cheap
right.
and they think it's something that's just gimmicky. But what branding is at its core is it is figuring out what the value of the product is to the customer, right?
Hmm.
Employer branding is figuring out what the value of the work experience is to the employee. And so in doing that, the way employer branding can solve for that isn't just rolling out some gimmicky campaign.
Okay.
What happens is that internally, in order to build a brand, you want to figure out, well, where is the experience? Well, how do you find that out? You collect data among your faculty and staff. So I think for marketing departments, what they can do, or communications departments, what
Right.
they can do is they can go to HR and say, hey, listen, we have an idea. We think we know how to sell the institution.
Hmm.
Let's work together on figuring out where folks find value in working here. And there are two things that could happen, Shiro. I mean, one thing that could happen, obviously, is you figure out what's going to pull people in, but then you also figure out what kinds of people are really going to help you cultivate a productive culture there. And some of the people uh, who may not be that, for lack of a better term, who may not be part of that culture fit,
Yeah.
then a lot of them may say, "Well, wait a minute, this is kind of different. I don't think I want to be here."
Hmm.
For people who really can help cultivate a great culture and who can complement the
Yeah.
culture, they're saying, "Oh, well, I didn't realize that this is what these folks stood for. I didn't realize this is what this college stood
Mm.
for. I actually want to be there. I want to be
Right.
there because I'm about the same thing." So I think those are some ways that people may not realize employer branding can work, that it can. One other thing I would mention, Alonda Thomas, who is the head of marketing and communications at Jackson State University, she was
Right.
on a panel earlier. She brought up another good point in partnering with institutional effectiveness
Right.
to help HR collect the data and to look at where the value of the employee experience is.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love that point. I took down a note, literally,
Hmm.
like, hey, this is what we can add to this conversation today. Is
Yeah.
like work with your university partners, work with your HR teams to figure this
Hmm.
out, because this kind of goes into my next set question. But like, how do you fix the employee problem
Yeah.
within just your higher ed team? Is increase your partnerships around campus is one resounding thing I heard.
Yeah, I mean, increasing partnerships. I think the other thing is, and Mark Harding from University of Pittsburgh, who was with us this morning, he's actually vice provost of enrollment at
Hmm.
University of Pittsburgh, and he brought up this great point of when you collect the data, do something with the data. Don't
Yeah.
ask people what they think and then not take any action.
Right.
If you really want to hack off your employees, that's a really good way to do it. Ask them their opinion, then don't even do anything with it. So once you get that data from them, then you have to analyze it and figure out where they see the value in their
Hmm.
experience. And also, you have to figure out where those pain points are and figure out how to deal with those pain points. The worst thing any institution can do, though, is look at the pain points and ignore them and say, oh, well,
Right.
these people, and I've heard this before. Oh, you know what? That's just so and so in the physics department. He's sour all the time.
Right. Okay.
No, figure out why he's sour. I mean, he may have a really good idea. There may be a really good reason that he's sour, and it may be a very fixable problem.
Right.
Um, so definitely partnerships around campus. One of the things we talked about in the session earlier is creating, creating an employer brand group, resource group around campus,
Right.
a task force, I should say, around campus so that you can get the employee voice in real time as opposed to collecting data and it just sitting on the survey results.
Gotcha. One question I had is, so I think employer branding and the lack of finding good candidates in higher ed is a staff-wide problem.
Hmm.
Maybe less affecting the faculty area, but
Hmm.
it's for all staff. Why is it specifically a marketing problem? And this
Hmm.
could be marketing communications, could be enrollment marketing. But how does the employee issue connect specifically with marketing teams?
Well, I'll put it to you this way: hell hath no fury like a student who's hacked off because an employee pissed them off, right? And I think, one of the episodes of the podcast of I Want to Work There, I had Benny Johnson, the CEO of the American Marketing Association,
Uh-huh.
on. And he said it best: employees are your first best customers. And so, if you want to make sure that your students are happy, then find some people who are going to make them happy. You're not going to get
Right.
100% customer satisfaction, when it comes to students, right? You're always going to have those students who are going to be the outliers, or they're at an institution where they simply don't fit,
Right.
and you can find that out through your employer branding data as well,
Mhm.
amazingly. But if you want to make sure that the students have a fulfilling experience, you got to find the people who are going to do that. Because the worst kind of marketing, or the worst thing that could happen to you in marketing, is word of mouth. So when you
Yep.
get those students who get on, I don't know, Rate My Professor, or when you get those students who get on, any platform, and they start trashing university, and they start saying, "Do not ask these people for help because they will not help you." Well, as soon as prospective students see that, your quality students, even if they fit the personality of the institution perfectly,
Right.
your highest quality students, they are not going to apply. So you need the people who are going to deliver on the brand promise. That's where the marketing part comes in.
Gotcha.
And so if you get some satisfied employees, I think that can lead you to satisfied
Do you
students.
think that stems from the idea that like historically like faculty were always aligned with the brand promise, but maybe marketing communications wasn't really, and so they weren't really responsible or tasked from an executive level to be responsible for being a part of the brand experience for a student.
I can say this because I actually came from the private sector into higher education.
Yeah.
So I got this opportunity to see higher education from the outside
Right.
when I got in. Higher education has an arrogance that just will not quit sometimes. And part of that arrogance is saying, well, if this person quits, so what? 50 more people are going to apply for that position.
Hmm.
That's not happening anymore.
Right.
And you are seeing more and more colleges and universities saying, whoa, 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 we have to figure out how to be the place where people want to work. And um, so I think a lot of that problem stems from this general attitude of higher education that it doesn't matter who applies, who doesn't apply. There's always going to be somebody else who's going to want that position.
Hmm.
We're not seeing that anymore, and we're not seeing it as much as possible. And it's not across the board. It's not 100%. I know that there are a lot of colleges and universities that are still doing a great enough job that they're able to get the quality applicants, and they're able to retain the talent
Hmm.
that they want to retain. But there are also a whole lot, and there's this data out there that shows that are really really getting nervous because they are just getting the message that they have to work a little harder to attract and retain talent.
So one thing that I heard during your conversation today, when everyone's like, why are you working in higher ed, right?" And
Yeah.
it was interesting to like, well, it took you a while to get some hand
Yeah,
raises,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you got them out of with your energy. But yeah, I think a couple things I heard over and over again were like, it's my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
I love working with students, right? I
Mm-hmm.
love being a mission driven
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. Like those are two things I heard a lot. Do you think there's ways for the employee search side of things from institutions to like double down on those audiences more?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because and we tend to talk about money a lot of times in
Right.
higher ed. So I think it comes in a form of, number one,
Hmm.
really, really locking in on what people's why is. And we heard that today in the session.
Right.
I'm there because I love the students. That was me. I love the students. I love the energy of a college campus. I really do miss that
Yep.
atmosphere. And I miss being on a campus every day. So there's that energy, there's the mission alignment that people have when it
Hmm.
comes to it. There is the affinity of, I'm an alum and I want to come
Right.
back and make this place better than I found it. But then the other thing that you can do to sweeten the pot, money is not the end all be all for people. Because I guarantee you, there are a lot of people in that room who are not getting paid a
Yeah.
fraction of what they're worth, right? But they're there because they believe in something. The thing you can't do, though, is you cannot use that against people. You cannot do mission-based gaslighting. So you can't say, well, you believe in the mission, stop complaining. That's not going to work, because that's when people opt out. But the other thing is, I think a lot of colleges and universities have to get creative about their compensation packages. So it's not just money, it's professional development. It's giving them opportunities to work flexible. If you have somebody in your marketing department who's a social media person, they don't have to be on campus every day. I mean, let's get real about that,
Right.
right? I mean, I had a social media person, and I was just like, yeah, go work from home because she was having a lot of issues happening, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, hey, coming here every day is not doing you any good.
Right.
Work from home. And people have to let go of that whole "you must be on campus" thing. They got to let it go, and they have to offer flexibility where it's definitely needed. And then there are other opportunities, just simple reward systems. I know that New York University, they have a system set up where employees can get discounts at different events around the city.
Hmm.
You know,
That's amazing.
make that happen at your institution.
Yeah.
And people love restaurant discounts. They love movie discounts. They love, so just make it work as much as you possibly can, to make sure that you sweeten the pot for people so that when they do get
Right.
there, they have a lot to look forward to. And I would also add another big part of employer branding is when people leave, make them wish that they were not leaving. Make it so compelling to them that they say, I'm gonna get paid a whole lot more, but I love it here. And since I'm leaving, I'm going to refer somebody. I'm going to refer the best people I can find because you deserve to have the best people. The alternative to that is if you send somebody away and they are not pleased with the experience they had working there,
Yep.
these are the ones who just post the job link on Facebook and they just let whoever apply and they don't care.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
an idiom that I can't remember about like when you depart ways with someone
Hmm.
professionally, like it's always in your best interest
Yeah.
to always end it peacefully.
Do your very best to end it peacefully.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's a great example because I
yeah.
mean, us as Concept 3D is a company, people have come back and they're our best employees, and we do make them remember how awesome it was to be a part of this,
Yeah, yeah,
brand. And
and,
so,
and and the smallest things can make the biggest difference.
100%.
You don't have to break the budget and do a big expensive party or something like that
Yeah.
for your employees. I mean, honestly, treat them nice. That's a
Start there.
that's a really good start.
Hmm.
And that's a really good way to really start buying some loyalty.
Absolutely. Yeah. During the presentation, actually, another example that I like was highlight employees. Like we definitely do it internally, and I don't
Yeah.
really know the higher dynamic
Hmm.
as well. But are there opportunities to be like, hey, like Eddie from social media team really crushed it
Hmm.
this week, built a compelling story on the student journey, and like got this many impressions, or
Yeah.
whatever, this many comments, and like, are there opportunities to highlight employees in that manner? Like,
Hmm.
I thought that was a great idea because maybe that's not happening at some institutions,
It's
And
not. No, it's not. It's not. There are a lot of people who are just getting beaten up. The only time they get to really have an involved conversation with their bosses
right,
is when the boss wants to tell them about how much they screwed up. That happens a lot. When the last time I had a team, I made sure I did two things. I made sure I celebrated everyone's birthday. I bought everyone a cake. And the other thing that I did is I made sure that in meetings, I would celebrate somebody. And I always had a winner of the week. And it was funny. At first, they were kind of uncomfortable with it. They were really tight about it.
yeah,
And then eventually they loosened up. And one Christmas when I was really especially proud of some work that the team did, I bought everyone a bottle of sparkling wine. So I was like,
amazing.
let's celebrate. Let's celebrate our wins because I'm celebrating you. So
That's fantastic.
yeah,
And I'm wondering where our listeners can learn a little bit more about you. I know you have Edify Ventures as well.
yeah,
If you want to talk about that a little bit more in the
sure.
podcast too.
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing is the easiest way to find me is to find me through my website, eddiefrancis.com. Information about Edify Ventures is there. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. Love LinkedIn. But the work that we do at Edify Ventures, one thing is employer branding consulting. But I also do personal branding consulting. So I actually have a couple of personal branding clients right now that I'm working with,
That's awesome.
even as far as working with resume redesign and public speaking coaching. And so just making sure people have those personal brands shored up. And then, of course, different communications, PR services, I'll do that as well. But my big thing, my big wish for higher ed is that colleges become places that people want to work, not because they they can't find a job anywhere else, but because
Right.
they are so compelled to go somewhere where they can just not fulfill the mission, but they can fulfill their personal missions, and they can reach whatever heights that they need to reach to be the best people they can be. So yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you, Eddie, so much
you
for your
got it.
time today at AMA. It's great meeting you. And thanks for our audience for tuning in. Thanks so much.